Hello, welcome to the Damn Slap Podcast, Season 4. It's been one long year of the Damn Slap Podcast. Congratulations to the team, and congratulations to you guys for sticking with us and surviving this long while. If you haven't checked the description, we have a bunch of links you guys definitely want to check out. But without further ado, let's get to the podcast. Today, I'm here joined by a longtime friend of the show, Nihal. Thank you very much for joining us.
I appreciate you, man. Congratulations, Season 4. Big deal, big deal.
Thank you very much, man. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I mean, it's been a long journey, not gonna lie. We've had ups and downs. The team has grown a lot personally and in their ability to do things. And I feel like we're getting more comfortable as we go. By now we meet very interesting people and we're just okay, let's go.
And I'm also a listener. I've been listening to a lot of your podcasts, your previous podcasts. It's super interesting.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. So, first of all, how are you today, man?
I'm good. I just had lunch with my family. We were at this Korean-Italian fusion place. Brought back some food, so I wonder how you guys find it, just for you guys.
Did we eat it? Is that what we have? But can you explain for the audience what it was?
So, today this restaurant was having this concept called Foods Regarding Fermentation. And the main businesswoman is a Korean lady who makes kimchi and so on. And so she connected with an Italian person and also someone who makes kombucha. Oh. So it's a way to sort of try fermentation in different ways. And she made this, can you pronounce it panettone?
Oh, panzerotti.
Panzerotti with mozzarella and kimchi. And now it was delicious.
Yeah, when you said it the first time, I was kind of shook. I never thought about the fusion aspect of Italian and Korean. Do you think there could be a barbecue mix-up?
I don't know how Italians feel about this because you guys are very traditional with your food.
Yeah, I guess.
So, to me, when I had that, I was like, there's something working over here.
I mean, to be honest, I feel like Italians are gatekeepers of their own food in some way. With peace and love, obviously. As an Italian, I love my food. But tradition is one thing, and then fusion food can be a completely different experience, right? So it's why gatekeep that?
Yeah,
people can experiment.
I think with Italians, you guys lead with your food because that's what you're known for. That's what you're loved for. So whilst you protect it, it also makes sense because that's your identity in a way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like we're very culturally attached to our cuisine and all, and very, very, I don't know, I would say food makes our days structured. The way we wake up, it's immediately. For example, I'm going back to Rome. My aunt calls me and she's oh, are you taking the plane? Oh, nice. What do you want to eat when you arrive? It's not oh, should I come pick you up? It's no, the first concern is food. And there I have to agree with you. It's I don't know. Italians are very about culture and tradition and all this stuff. But without further ado, right, I want to get to the main juice of this podcast. What is ISEC?
ISEC, so it's volunteering. It's an organization that I volunteer for, and we help students go abroad so that they can develop their leadership skills by doing internships and volunteering programs. And we work with several countries. We're in over 100 territories, even more. So we have these different offices around the world that we try and connect students with.
How did you first come about?
Yeah.
ISEC?
They were having a recruitment cycle and they decided to use LinkedIn that year. And they were able to find me through the LinkedIn search. They sent me a message and they were like, do you want to apply? At first they were interested in having me over for a vice president position.
Oh, nice.
But I didn't have the time, but later they gave me a part-time booklet. They were like, is this something that interests you? And I was really interested in the marketing team. I feel like my skills that I've been developing over the years, it really fits with the marketing team. And I started off as the university relations manager. Later on now, I'm the team leader for marketing. I'm in charge of a certain aspect of the marketing team, which is outreach, getting in touch with organizations, getting in touch with the university departments, so that we can organize events to hopefully get these students more, get the ISEC name across.
Have you already had some events like these?
Yeah, our most successful event this year was probably the first one that we had, which was AttractAJob.
Oh, like yeah. Actually, we have the same in Erasmus. Yeah.
So in the University of Amsterdam, we have an introduction week, and it's called AttractAJob. And what they do is it's the first week you as a student officially, or it's before you officially start.
Yep.
And so you get to know the city, but you also get to know the associations involving or around the university. And we were able to set up an information stand at one of the main info events. And people would just come walking to our stand. We got a chance to talk with them. And me, I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I love approaching people and new people that I haven't met and talking about different things. And we noticed that day we got a lot of signups.
That's pretty good, man. But like, is that the moment you realized you like public speaking in that sense?
I've known for a longer time that I'm really interested in public speaking. One of the earliest memories that I've had was an event that was, so I was the head of student council back in high school. And when you start, you're meant to, all of the heads of these different student bodies, you give a presentation to the entire school during assembly. So you'd have people like the head boy, the head girl, also the environmental committees and so on. They would come in, discuss who they are, but also what they want to do for the school. Mm-hmm. Me, it was a big, one of my biggest like public speaking events ever that year. So I was going to go there with the other person who was the head of the student council, mm-hmm. and we were going to go introduce each other and talk about what we wanted to do. What happened was my first words was that I got on stage and I said, "Hi, my name is Anshul." And Anshel's the name of the guy who was running with me, who was the other president. And when I paused, people realized that I messed up my own name.
Yeah, that happens.
But what happened was that the room changed. There was actual laughter because all the presentations before that was just information. No one really worked on their skills, public speaking skills. So you were just listening and watching, but not really entertained.
Yeah, I feel that.
But when I made that mistake, suddenly I felt like there was an energy in the audience that wasn't there before, and I ran with that. Oh. I also got more energetic, maybe because I was a little bit embarrassed, but I was like, okay, now everyone's hearing this. Now everyone's watching. So I finished this, and at the end of the presentation, what the principal usually does, she'll pick one student and she'll ask them a question just so she gets a little more feedback or a little more conversation. And she looks at us and she's like, "Who are you looking for in the student council?" And I go, "We want someone who can pronounce their name right." And that sort of fixed the mistake. And people came up to me later and were like, "It was planned, wasn't it?" It was. I knew it was planned. And me was like, "Definitely."
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, it's in the script. Yeah, I would show it to you, but I forgot the logins, you know.
Yeah, but exactly, that was one of the experiences which I was like, you can have fun doing this. Yeah, and that sort of started me wanting to do more public speaking.
I mean, that sounds like a crazy event though. Like, these sort of public speaking events are very scary. Like, for people, especially the first time, right? Like you look and you see a lot of people and they're looking straight at you and you have the people's attention, even if they're like distracted. At the end of the day, the moment you speak, they'll be aware that you're speaking, right? And that's like a feeling that really throws people off. Like I realized that when I first did like a sort of speech like this as well, but it was also for high school and obviously in the same sort of setting, but I mean, yeah, like I don't know, I just regurgitated the same stuff that I planned. And then I was like, oh, this is not as fun as I thought. So I just decided to do recorded stuff because then I could edit it and make it like the funniest stuff I could possibly think of.
You're a master at post-production.
Yeah, I think about post-production even when I say things. Like I'm really? I don't know, people can vouch for me as well. Like I speak in like video edits. Like sometimes I'll see an edit according to like a specific moment and I'll be like, oh, I wish I clipped that. And I'm like, how? Like that's my eyes. How could I clip it? You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. It's become part of my life. So, I mean, you seem to be an outgoing person, right? You would approach anyone. And is that exactly why you started your own company?
I started my own company for a different reason. One day, so I'm part of the student ambassadors at the University of Amsterdam. And I volunteer. I send a message to the person in charge. I'm like, "Hi, I'm happy to do a workshop for you guys. I'm really interested in giving a presentation about LinkedIn."
Mm-hmm.
LinkedIn is something that has been I've known since in high school, that I've been working on, and I felt like I could teach something to these students. Maybe I might not have been a master then, but I could know like I was 5 steps ahead of these people. So I was like, what if we bridge the gap a little and I do a LinkedIn workshop? She liked the idea, we set it up, and it turns out that when I did the actual workshop, I got really good feedback.
Nice.
People really enjoyed it, and I honestly felt like it was going to help these people. What happened later was a month goes by and I get this email from someone in charge of a career week event.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, hi, this person forwarded me your email. She says you're a LinkedIn expert. Would you like to come and give us a workshop? That sounds good.
This is my moment.
That sounds good. And what that gave me was like, I think I can make this real sort of thing. And that event, I actually got paid for that. And I'd never been paid for an actual speaking event before. And so the dream had now just become a reality. I was like, let's see how far we can take this.
Mm-hmm.
I sit down and I'm thinking to myself, okay, I've done this workshop. I feel like I can do more. What if I register a company? What if I set up a company? So I do. Months later, I go to the gemeente, the government, and I'm like, hi, I would like to open a business. Within half an hour, sign it, I'm registered. And now this company, AttractAJob, was born specifically to help students find their ideal jobs.
Yeah.
Attract their ideal jobs. What I want to help students with is the ability to, what I want to help is to enhance your soft skills, but also personal branding. Because I think as students, we learn a lot about stuff in the courses and so on, but we rarely know how to sell ourselves in a career way. Universities have career services, career departments, but I'm a student. I use LinkedIn to get my own job, but there's so many other people I see struggling with that. So many people don't even have stuff on their profile. What if I come in and just bridge that knowledge? And that's when it really started, and that's when the ball started rolling.
I mean, you said you had like a vested interest in LinkedIn for one or the other, like for one reason or the other. In the sense, like why are you so like why in high school? What came about? Like why LinkedIn? I've never heard anyone say that they came across LinkedIn at an early age. Like I only came to know it at the age of 19, and that was already like I thought I was like, oh damn, I'm getting in this game early because none of my friends and nobody I knew had even thought of LinkedIn besides my parents. Mm-hmm. And that's I don't know. Right now I feel like I got it because I have 900 connections. Whoa, that's what I was going to ask. Like, what is your connection? Because I just connect with people because of the podcast and because of interest and stuff like that.
Yeah. So honestly, there are so many people I don't know. There are so many people who I connected with. Yeah. That was because when I actually set up my LinkedIn account years ago, I would just go in and click follow, connect. Yeah. And then I'm now, I think, in more than 3,000 followers. But here's the thing, do not do that approach. Do not do that. Learn from, because you have something called inorganic growth and organic growth. Okay. And you having a production space like this, you know that organic growth is what is actually better. Yeah. Inorganic, yes, you may have that figure, I have this many followers, but when you're posting content, how many of that is actually engaging? How many people from that follower list is engaging with you? And to me, that's more important. If you're able to have an engaged follow base, for any company, any social media, if you're able to have a strong engagement-based follower, that's really where it's at.
Yeah, it's actually the most profitable and most also beneficial for every party involved. Because if you have a community that speaks to you, then you can better your content. And if you better your content, your community gains something, right? So it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy in that sense, if you really have the belief to do it. I mean, also about LinkedIn in the sense, just so I know personally, it's wouldn't you say that having a higher follower, a higher connection count would mean that when you post, people have the chance to just like it because they're in your network anyway?
Yes and no. So there's a difference between someone viewing your content and engaging your content.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, as in, if they like it, if I post, for example, a podcast on my LinkedIn, and I'm I really enjoyed this professionally, I learned a lot, and then because I have all these random connections that I've never really made in person, but online I have these connections, and that's the thing. It's if they come across the post, they wouldn't have come across it otherwise, right? Yep. And they might engage with it because they never had the chance. Yep. But I think what you're saying is that you should develop like an audience that supports you, even if it's small.
So, so your example about posting your podcast to people who you've never met, what you might get is support from the community. So there's a lot of people on LinkedIn which I really enjoy seeing, which is if you view your profile, they'll directly send you a LinkedIn message saying, "Hey, I saw that you viewed my profile. Is there anything I can help you with?" Of course, they might gain some sort of like a sale or something like that, but the start of that conversation is done with a good genuine kindness, which is like, I might help someone out. But when you post your podcast to random followers, they might see it, they might like it. What are the chances they might listen to it?
I would say one, like a random person.
Yeah.
I think they would have like a 1 in 10,000 chance.
Yeah.
Something like that, because it's like, yeah, it's very small. It's very minuscule.
Now let's say you have a small follower base, but they're your friends from uni. They're your friends that you've built up with your podcasting and so on. And they see that you dropped your podcast, a new episode maybe. They're gonna be like, yeah, I like the other stuff. This one seems interesting. I might get in on this. I might listen to it.
And then 3 out of 10 times they might watch it.
You go from 1,000 to 1 out of 1,000. But also, we're being very general with these stats.
Yeah,
it could also be like 1 in 100,000.
Oh no! Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. It's like also like in that case, it's like way smaller of a percentage than people can perceive. Even like you turn on your phone and you see a post, you don't even register it in your minds. There's a million cases of that happening. But I mean, would you say that then in the in between of like having a network that knows you and expanding your network, like, is that the key, or just organically growing it?
So before you ever think about, I want to better my LinkedIn profile, what I like you to do, what I teach in fact in my workshops is like, what are you honestly interested in? Before you start promoting yourself, like figure out what you actually, like honestly, that you're happy to work on, that you're happy to spread a message about. Yeah. Most people, I think in social media culture, they think that a post is equivalent to my entire thought process. But I think there is a step before the actual writing of a post where you can sit down and you think, okay, this is the core idea that I'm trying to build, a core idea that I'm trying to share with people. The post is just a delivery mechanism. It's just a way to deliver that idea. But if I'm able to communicate honestly what motivates me or what gets my attention, I think that's stronger. And your example of you have a strong follower base, but you're trying to engage with people that you've never met before. I think that the fact that you have a small follower base, in my opinion, I feel like you made yourself aware of what interests you, because they're passionate, they're listening to you, they're engaging with you, and I think whatever comes next, meaning the followers who've never heard of you, those people that feel similarly about you that your strong follower base does, I think it's very easy for them to convert and become a follower or potentially a podcast listener.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Anyway, I didn't want this to turn into a LinkedIn ad, but also your LinkedIn is up there, you know.
Yeah.
Nihal Bellary, everybody. So go check him out.
Bel-Air. You're going with Bel-Air.
Oh, Prince of Bel-Air.
Yeah.
The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. But yeah, I mean, can you tell me a little bit more about AttractAJob.com? Like, what is your near future going to look like?
Yeah. So right now, my time has been going in different areas. I do not have the ability to do like work full time on the company, simply because I'm working with ISEC, but I'm also part of, I'm doing my master's course right now. So my ability to actually work 40 hours a week or even more than that, 40, 50, 60, whatever, that's really taken away. But my goal with AttractAJob is to build a team around it. I want to have other presenters. I want to have other people who develop workshops. And I also want to have people who have good sort of relationship skills, so that you can go to organizations and say, hey, we're really helping students. We have these workshops that are helping them. Would you like to come over? Would you like us to come over and do a workshop for you?
Nice. I mean, I wasn't actually going to say that before, like when you were explaining about ISEC and then you mentioned AttractAJob, I immediately thought, like, how are you managing both like physically and mentally?
My social relationships have definitely tanked. I find myself, I'm not going to parties. I'm not really getting a lot of chances to socialize as I would have been. But at the end of the day, like I know that my time is being put in good places. And even though I might not have the wealth of social circles, I might not have that access anymore. It's just that I know that later on, when I'm sort of done with my course, or maybe my time with ISEC stops, that the knowledge that I've built, I can take that on and use it later. So I don't see necessarily, it's hard. I will agree with you that working on different things can take a lot of toll on you, either stress-wise, mental, physical. But I'm actually enjoying the things that I'm working on.
And that's the most important factor in my opinion, because it is draining to do anything, really. Like if you really put your heart and mind to it, it's draining to do anything. But as long as you have a smile at the end.
Look at your podcast, man. Again, season 4. You've come a long way since you started.
Well, I mean, we have, like, thank you to Troy, obviously the longest time partner. So special thank you to you and happy anniversary.
Ew.
Yeah, he's a very lovely guy. Just not
I
on
can
camera.
tell.
Yeah, he's not on camera. Oh, but also like, I mean, the reason why I asked about like the mental strain and like the physical strain from these challenges is also because of the factor that is COVID.
Yeah.
How have you been dealing in the past 2 years with the biggest pandemic?
Whilst it's affected me, I don't think it's really made me less positive. We just got new regulations recently, so we're gonna change our lifestyles a bit again. But at the end of the day, like if I look at my schedule, the way I've planned it and so on, whether or not COVID exists doesn't really matter.
Okay.
I'm still working on a lot of stuff. I still have the chance to meet some of my core friends and my people that I hold close to me, but it's not like that would have been different without COVID.
I mean, like, for example, I mean, in some countries, people don't even have the chance to leave their homes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know if what were the regulations? I think in the Netherlands there was only like half a lockdown that was really serious.
Yeah.
Like it was never really like a serious lockdown, and I think in some way we're lucky, but not with the cases now. But I mean, also in terms of COVID, it's like you had a lot on your mind, but you could do it remotely, right?
Yeah.
And that helps. I mean, you attended online lectures, right, and online classes as well. So how was it sitting in your room for like 15 hours plus?
I feel like, so my motivation definitely went down. I'm not interested in sitting down for a 2-hour lecture that's also followed by another 2-hour lecture from a different course. So that definitely took a hit on my motivation. But with me personally, I just want to be done with it. So my motivation is to do what's expected of me in terms of uni this is. And if I walk out with a good grade, or I'm happy. Yes, I might be losing on that in-person class experience. I had that a bit this year. When I applied to my master, they made it very clear that we were going to open up. Everything was going to be on campus, and here we are. No, that's definitely not happening. But to me, I don't feel like, whilst my motivation has gone down, that I'm in a mindset where COVID has like affected me negatively. Like me personally, I'm quite positive. I'm someone who can find positives in a lot of things or learn from it. So I agree that some people have found it very difficult, but I feel differently.
I mean, how do you keep up with like sitting still for so long? Like, do you do any physical activity like running, stuff like that?
I go for walks. I go to the gym. So one of the first lockdowns where it was only like you were at home every week, not going anywhere. So I live with 2 people, and one of them is actually Maria, your first
Season 1, episode 1, ladies and gentlemen.
Shout out Maria. What happened was, out of the 2 roommates that I lived with, one went back to his home country. The thing was, because of the border regulations, he was there. He could not come back to Amsterdam. So it was just me and Maria. What happened was, we would work, but we would also go on walks. But because we kind of had someone else in the house, it kind of made things easier. As well, like my parents also live in Amsterdam,
Oh, nice.
so I could just during weekends. This thing happened where now I go back every weekend, sort of spend an evening, Sunday morning with them, and go back home, and that was really good because it gave me a sort of bubble,
Yeah.
something I would walk out of, and it's like my week's reset in a sort of way. So that might have been that might have also supported my sort of positive mood,
Mm-hmm.
but I forget where we were.
Oh, is it like also with like just? I mean, have you seen anyone like suffer from the impact of COVID in that sense? Because in my experience, like I've seen a couple of people that like had their own projects and they were really going for them, and unfortunately, it's like in that field they couldn't possibly work, like as an event management and like stuff with people. And that's the thing. It's like I saw people literally just like I don't die inside, but like lose that flame and that fire to like chase their dreams, because that's ultimately what it is.
I see you, but also at the same time, like I can recognize that that person may have felt a great deal of loss or a great deal of spite towards the way regulations were created and so on. Protests have happened, so I can clearly tell that people have been affected by it. But again, going back to me, where I'm like you were asking for my opinion.
Yeah.
I can look at this in a sort of positive way,
Okay.
which is people may have lost their thing that they hold, like maybe their work, going to work that they're really held close to, but then you're now experiencing something new. And if like I've read many studies where now people are like, there was a study by an HR manager from the University of Gothenburg, I forget which country that's in, but he noted that 2/3 of the working population actually are happy to work from home.
Oh, that I am very pleased with. Like working from home is amazing.
And also that people picked up new hobbies, and in a way, it actually showed increased life satisfaction levels. So, whilst to your point that some people may have experienced great loss, many people have experienced great gain.
That's true. You really see the glass half full in this. I mean, also, I have a feeling that like spending more time with your family is key. I think that motivates humans to continue, right? It's like more connections are made because like as a father now you get to spend time with your children just because you're working from home, but like your children bother you in that sense, right? Whilst you're working, but it's still that idea of like your children are there and you're spending time with your family even just by presence. So I mean that could affect it. Also, I mean, there's one thing that I'm really grateful about with COVID is that the media literacy, but just literacy of technology, has increased by like an insane percentage. One that would take literally 2070 to get there. And we're there now because people just had to adapt. So it's like, I don't know, like 10 years ago, if someone was like, oh yeah, we have to get the population to know their stuff about technology, they would never be able to do it. Like, how would you convince people to learn stuff like that? Like, my grandma learned how to use WhatsApp, bro. She was FaceTiming from like a centimeter away from her phone, but like, dude, she knows how to call. That's insane. I would have never, literally, I bet against it, and I lost. So, I mean, COVID does have good points to it, but I have to say, like, I've seen a lot of people distraught, I've seen a lot of families fall apart, and I've seen, like, I don't know, it's a double-edged sword, and I just wanted to know your opinion, because it's like, I don't know, you've been living here for 11 years now, and I mean, you must have a very unique perspective of it, right? Like, also, like, I mean, you're lucky you have your family here.
Yeah.
I mean, I also have that, so, like, thank God, I'm very pleased, because, I don't know, I'd be terrified if I were on the other side of the planet.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Hey, are you interested in making your own podcast production just like ours? Well, you came to the right place. We partnered up with Buzzsprout to provide you guys a $20 Amazon gift card in case you guys sign up. Now, why are we doing it? Well, we actually love using Buzzsprout. We've been using it for a year and we've had a blast. They provide us with great analytics and statistics every time we upload something, and they works in a seamless and frictionless manner. We've never had a problem with them, and the directories have always worked. They broadcast to the vast majority, if not all of the major platforms for podcasts and for audio. So if you are interested, use the link down below in the description for that discount, and let us know in the comments if you do. And let's get back to the podcast. Anyway, I wanted to ask you a couple of questions, if you don't mind, just random questions. I mean, yeah, we have time for it, right? You don't have to be anywhere. Perfect. Answer as best as you can, obviously. So here we go. If you had to eat one food for the rest of your life, it wouldn't impact you in any way, but you could just eat it, what would it be? Would it be Italian, Korean, fusion food, or would it be something else?
One food that I could
One
just
food.
spam on all
Only
day, all
one.
night.
And you wouldn't like get fat or like get tired of, like the flavor wouldn't change. It would remain the same.
So this is something I don't do often, which is burgers at Five Guys.
Ooh, they're good, bro. They're good.
I'm getting a lot of positive faces
They're
from
good.
your team.
They're good.
I have this. Can we go into a quick story?
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah.
So I have a friend from high school, and what we do, the way we stay in touch is we play chess online. And so when he would go to Brazil, we'd still play. When he'd come back in Amsterdam, we didn't have time to meet each other. We would send a text saying, "Yo, chess tonight, you down?" Yes, we sorted. And we get on the phone call and we kind of trash talk each other while playing chess. But then one day we were like, let's make a sort of physical activity. We found out that the Five Guys was opening in Utrecht.
Yeah.
And we were like, what if we do a bike trip there? And so it was a summer, beautiful day. We biked from Amsterdam to Utrecht. There's two Five Guys locations in Utrecht. Like, you can tell I know this. We went to the one in Central Station. And we go there tired. We're kind of like, oh my god,
Sweaty, like drained.
and then the burgers hit. And I'm telling you, the great part about biking there and coming back is that you've literally worked out. So it's just a meal. So we get everything with the burgers, we get the fries. We're just satisfied.
Wait, is it the Cajun fries?
See, I like Cajun fries, but sometimes they go too much on the spicing. It's too much of the, I'm eating salt or just the cayenne pepper at that.
Sometimes, yeah, okay, I have to agree with you on that.
But just like lightly spiced Cajun fries, I'm down for that.
Okay.
And
So
then
you got them, like, do you remember what you got?
burger, cheeseburger with like everything. I'm the kind of guy for like all the
Yeah,
toppings.
yeah, give me everything
Yeah.
on this.
And we've done that trip like 2 or 3 times now. And specifically knowing that once we go there, eat that burger and come back, no weight gain or anything like that.
I mean, my biggest question would be like, how's the ride back? Like, are you not experiencing food coma and like your heart is like, bro, listen, you're digesting like 2 kilos of food right here and you're biking. You really want to die right now?
So we take a little break. We spend like
Yeah,
an
right,
hour and a half just chilling there. Sometimes we couldn't even eat in Five Guys because of COVID. So we would take the burgers and go to the train station and just eat it at the platform. And we didn't care. It was like, we came here for an experience and we got it. It delivered.
So it would be like a menu at Five Guys. That's the final answer.
That's it.
Damn, now I'm just envisioning you biking, like thralling from the mouth, just like burger. You get there, you're like the usual.
And I'll tell you, me and my friend, we're solid during the burger eating part. We don't say a word to each other.
Yeah.
We're just. It's just you and that burger. That's it.
Like the burger bites back.
Mhm.
The cheese is oozing.
I think that should be the name of the podcast.
Damn. So, the second question that we're going to get to is, if you could live anywhere, there are no boundaries, absolutely no limitations, where would it be?
Wow. I'm very tied down to Amsterdam.
Mm-hmm.
I really love the city,
Mhm.
think of it as my own. But I would want like a penthouse location somewhere.
New York.
No, in Amsterdam.
Oh, like literally. Okay.
Yeah, I would, like, of course you can say an exciting New York or something, but I'm like, I just want, housing is really expensive here.
Oh yeah.
So if I get like a nice penthouse in Amsterdam, that's the dream.
That is pretty nice. Does that mean you're planning on staying in the Netherlands for a long time?
I would like to come back to the Netherlands,
Mhm.
but if, for example, if I notice my career starts developing here, I'm more than happy to stay. And I think you may agree with this. Netherlands is kind of like the best case scenario. So I come here from India, and like life quality wise,
Oh, like yeah. Okay.
I hit the jackpot. But then anywhere else you go in Europe, most places in Europe, you're kind of taking it one step down.
Yeah.
And in that way, I think like I've kind of hit my best case scenario.
Mhm.
I do want to travel, get more experiences around the world, but I know that I would like to come back.
I mean, I agree with the fact that like the Netherlands is a AAA country. Like it's very economically developed and it's very entangled with many other countries, like economically speaking, and it's quite a prolific country to be in. And as our agent likes to say, if you want to do business, you go to the Netherlands because that's where most people go to do business, and that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, and also like after the UK.
Yeah, exactly. That kind of makes sense.
What's the other country that speaks good English?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah. That's so. It would actually be the Netherlands. I think that's the first time we get that on the podcast. So, congrats. You're a trendsetter. So, third question in line is. Well, I mean, yeah. What can we expect from you in the near future? Like, as in, where can people follow your progress?
LinkedIn. I'm not, I deleted. I didn't delete, but I'm off most other social media.
Okay.
And the only thing that I actually spend time, just because it's also the way my company, I'm able to talk about my company. I'm not gonna spam post about my company. Don't worry about it. But like, so LinkedIn. If you click on the link, I'm assuming there's gonna be a LinkedIn.
Yeah, also, but like I think they can see, but also it's gonna be on camera somewhere. Don't worry about that.
And also, if you guys want to send me a message or like are interested in getting involved, if I can plug my company.
Obviously, yeah.
I'm really wanting AttractAJob to grow and really help students. I also want it to be a way for people to get experience in workshops. Right now, I have one person working with me. He's actually developing a new workshop. And what I noticed is like he's really happy because he also wants to get into the presenter mode. Nice. So if you're someone who also wants to expand your public speaking, that's great as well. So I don't have job listings per se. I haven't made it clear who I'm looking for, but definitely if you are able to send me a private message on LinkedIn, we could try and set up a call.
Would you say that a basic requirement of yours would be like to introduce yourself with your actual name?
Yes.
No, yeah, I had to, sorry.
And if you mess up your name on the message, you're getting extra points. I will say that.
Yeah, actually, like, you could actually just say that and be like, you said that on the podcast. You're like, nah, that's not me. Fake news. That's not me. That's edited. I mean, so they can support you through LinkedIn, like, and they, like, I think they can make a connection with you, right?
Yeah,
and
definitely.
They get notifications when you post something about your endeavor. Can they also, like, I mean, with the recent COVID developments, I'm not sure, but like, can they also come to the events? Like, can they hit you up about coming to these workshops?
So right now it's like, this has been on my mind.
Yeah.
Do we move everything to Zoom? Do we try and hold our own workshops, in-person workshops? So I per se have not landed on a decision just yet. But if you're interested, I think Zoom is probably the format that I might be going for, seeing how things are working. Mm-hmm. And when following events get published, sign up for them. Really happy to meet students, but also if you want to see how it is and just give me feedback. Feedback is really important to me because at the end of the day, if the workshops aren't getting better, we're doing something wrong.
That's true. So that's actually good for our international viewers, right? So they can also hop on and go on Zoom and just do the workshop with you.
Yeah, if you're outside of Amsterdam, if you're outside of the Netherlands, definitely. I would really like to see a lot of new faces.
Yeah, obviously. Like, I mean, you can find out the developments of these projects on LinkedIn, as mentioned. So do make sure to go there. Actually, I have 2 questions left. One, if you could work with anyone in the near future, right? It doesn't matter who it is. Who would it be?
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Neil deGrasse Tyson?
Yeah, so for me, I kind of see him as one of the best public speakers in the world.
He's a brilliant public speaker.
His ability to communicate scientific concepts in a way that's not only like understandable but humorous. I think that's a very unique trait that is really hard to work on or hard to come by. So if I'm able to sort of work with him, kind of see how he thinks about these topics or how he decides to communicate them later, for me that would be a great education.
Yeah, I mean that is actually a very good point. He's literally the only man who can make physics A, understandable, B, like funny in some way. Like he's very unique at that. Besides obviously all the YouTube channels with like the random guns that shoot. Vsauce is pretty good, but like also like you know those channels that you find at like 4 a.m. with like the cannon, the pressurized cannon, or like potato launcher with like 6,000 pi, and you're like, why? Why would I launch a potato at the speed of like a bullet? And then you still watch it because it's fire. Like you're not gonna watch it, obviously you are.
I'm getting an insight into your YouTube viewings.
No, like my YouTube is messed up because like I mean I actually use. At this point, I hopped on the production YouTube because like we don't watch videos on it, so I get random recommendations and I understand how the algorithm works better, right? Because I see it at its like most generalizable stage.
4 a.m. in the morning.
But it's also like it's crazy how YouTube content works, man. Also, other platforms are just nuts. Like, but anyway, last question is, I mean, for our project. There will be a post on Instagram with your podcast. Also, this is a question I wanted to ask on air. You've been on another podcast, right?
Yeah.
How many, like, are you like? Is that where you learned how to be comfortable on camera?
No, I was comfortable before. I mean, if you start off public speaking on stage, where I had my experience with someone, you can like if you're comfortable on stage, I would say you would also be comfortable on camera. Mm-hmm. I just like don't focus on the cameras. I focus on you. Yeah. But with the other podcast, he's also a friend of mine. Can I shout out that podcast?
Yeah, obviously, like he's gonna be on screen anyway. Like,
yeah. It's a Student Couch, and he's from communication science, one of the bachelor program that I took part in, and we actually met over Zoom in a recent class.
Hey, dude, that's the struggle brings people together.
And he's the only person that I've actually like gained a new friend from Zoom. Yeah. So and then he goes on, makes this podcast. He has me over twice. Okay. So
nice. But yeah, I asked that because like usually guests are really like shy at first on camera, but you know, you seemed very okay with it. So I wanted to ask if that was the reason. I mean, besides that, I actually would want to give the stage to you. Is there anything you would like to say to the audience? Obviously, you could actually I would recommend that camera. Any last word, any message from your heart to them, you know?
I've been working on being more self-aware these days, and I think it's helped me learn about myself, but also when I'm in different situations, communicate myself, such as the podcast and so on. So maybe work on that. I've started journaling. I'm not frequent with it, so if you're someone who's interested in sort of just gaining a more genuine understanding of yourself. It's very kind of deep philosophical to end with, but if your ability to increase your trait of self-awareness, I think it's really going to help anyone.
Nice. Well, that's very insightful. Well, thank you very much for joining us in today's podcast. Obviously, links down in the description. You can find all that. Leave a comment in case you want to ask Nihal any questions, because we will direct them straight to him, and if not, obviously go on LinkedIn, message him there, hit him up about his production and his company, and well, thank you for being my guest.
Thanks for having me, man.
The Prince of Bellary.